What is going on, everybody? So this isn't a video that I was originally thinking of making, but I find it interesting, so maybe some of you will also find it interesting. It's not normal car content, but it is still car content. So for my birthday, my lovely girlfriend got me the McLaren Formula 1 2022 Lego kit, and this thing looks amazing. I can't wait to get it all put together, and it'll be a great showpiece that will probably go up on the mantle or the wall or something like that. Already got the Mustang one up there that's from my sister, and this kit is going to completely dwarf this one. It looks like this thing is like 25 inches long, so it's going to be twice as long as that car there. So this isn't going to be a review of this. This isn't going to be like a time-lapse build. It's just going to be kind of showing some things that I find interesting on the car and some differences that I've noticed between it and the real Formula 1 McLaren car. So it's built in 4 different sections. So let's dive into bag number 1. All right, this is bag number 1. It's basically the rear subframe of the car. It includes the V6 engine, the rear suspension, you got a diff in there. So it's really cool seeing how the pushrod suspension works. So it doesn't have a normal like shock and spring in there that would be vertically or at an angle in the suspension like on a normal car. This has a pushrod suspension which has the shocks and damper inboard and like horizontal. So there's this little rod in here, if you can see that goes and pushes on the spring. So as you push that up, you can see that thing kind of moving. So pushrod suspensions are really cool. There's a lot of guys out there starting to incorporate them into their builds. The Unicorn is one of the big ones that everyone kind of knows, but there's a lot of other cars that are incorporated in there, and it's a really cool feature, and it's really good for packaging and weight distribution. Who knows, maybe the Mustang will get a pushrod suspension one day. Wouldn't that be cool? The differential is pretty sweet in there too. So it has just basically an open diff. So when you turn both of them the same direction, it will spin the engine. If you hold one, it keeps spinning. But if you just hold one open, it spins it the opposite direction. So it's just an open differential down there. It would have been cool if they could have incorporated something a little bit more, but again, this is going to be hidden underneath the bodywork, so it's not actually going to be seen. But it is a cool little feature. One thing that I kind of noticed on the suspension that they used basically equal length arms for the top and bottom, which on the real McLaren, I'm sure it's not, just knowing the little bit that I know about suspension geometry, that this is probably not what they would be using on the car, because this does not give very good camber curves as it compresses. And the end pieces here kind of flex differently than they would on a real car. So that's just one thing that I kind of noticed that is probably not how it is on the actual car. You know, they can't actually have the same suspension geometry on this as they would on the real car for secrecy purposes and just for packaging purposes. The V6 engine on here is like they have in the Formula 1 car. That it has a turbo hybrid V6, so there's no hybrid components on here, and there's no turbo setup on here, which I think is a missed opportunity. Even though you wouldn't be able to see it because of all the bodywork that would be on there, it would have been really cool to do a split turbo kind of setup on there, and even try to make it rotate with the engine. I think that's a missed opportunity that Lego could have done, and it would have just been a cool feature, even though it would have been hidden underneath the bodywork. They had the space to do it. There's probably going to be a lot of empty space in here once we actually get the car built up. So that's one thing that I wish they had kind of done, was just add a little bit more cool features underneath. Even though you wouldn't be able to see them, you would know that they were there. All right, let's move on to adding in bag number 2. Man, just look at it. So yeah, just after bag number 2, you can see how massive this thing is actually looking. So yeah, we've added in the whole front suspension, we got the driver area, and it's attached to the rear subframe now. So you can just really see how massive this thing really is. And we actually have like a little steering going on. So you got a little steering wheel with a gear set going on that actually turns the front wheels. That is super cool. Again, you got the push rod suspension on the front with the inboard shocks. So that is one thing that I've noticed that is different between this car and the actual McLaren car is the push rod suspension. The actual McLaren has a pull rod suspension, which is just the opposite of this one. So instead of this link going up and the suspension is up here on the top, the suspension would be on the bottom and this link would be going down. So as the suspension travels up, you can see like it would push in. Instead, it would be a pull rod and it would be pulling on the bottom ones. So that is one thing that would have been kind of cool if they actually got a push rod suspension, but that was probably just due to making the things the same between front and rear, or McLaren trying to keep some secrecy going on and not wanting everyone to know that they were running a pull rod suspension, because that was big talk when their car came out, that it was only them and I think Red Bull that were running the pull rod instead of the push rod suspension. All right, on to bag number 3, which will probably start making it actually look like a Formula 1 car. Right now we're just at like the frame or the monocoque, what they call it, and suspension. We don't have the wing on the front. We don't have any of the side pods or the floor or rear spoiler going on. So those will all be added in the next 2 bags. So let's get on to bag number 3. All right, bag number 3, and it is actually really starting to look like a Formula 1 car. So we've got the beginnings of the side pods going in. We got the floor, we got the barge boards, I think they're called. You got the front wing and the nose. You got the start of the rear spoiler and wing that will be going on, some diffusers. Yeah, so it's looking pretty cool. So yeah, and don't know if you can really see it. So you got it, kind of got these pieces in here to help, that would direct the airflow down into the floor. So that's a cool little detail. You got the beginnings of the side pod that gives the nice curvature that the Formula 1 cars have. You got the floor that is new for the 2022 cars. That's a really cool feature of the wing. The wing just looks really cool how they did it. So it's kind of like 3 pieces. So you got this upper, this bottom, and then a piece in the middle. So that is looking really sweet. It looks a lot like the actual Formula 1 cars. The details that went into this is really cool. There's so many things, like just from all different angles that you can look at on the car. So you can really see how much room is probably going to be in there, where they could have probably, done a split mount turbo setup right on top of that engine, which would be a really cool little feature, but alas. All right, on to the final bag number 4, where this will get all completed and will look like an actual Formula 1 car. Let's get to it. Will you just look at it? This thing is sick. So it's all done. We got the wheels, everything, engine cover. This thing looks freaking awesome. You can actually play with the suspension and everything. You can actually bottom it out and do some porpoising. So that's pretty sweet. I like you can actually like rotate this and have a little bit of a like DRS. It'd be nice if there was like a little thing that you could push that would like rotate it, but you can just rotate it by hand. So you can have it out like that, have DRS open, have it DRS closed. So that's pretty sweet. Got the engine cover inlet. You got the halo system, mirrors. It is looking really sweet. Kind of flexes right here in the middle when you push down like the front, so that kind of be nice if there was a little bit better bracing going on in there, but it is what it is. It's not really a toy, it's more of a showpiece. So my plan is to maybe get some hooks and maybe like mount it right on the wall here, kind of maybe sit in vertically like this or something like that. Is how I'm thinking. Have some hooks that go right around the wheels or suspension or something and kind of have it up on the wall like that. That would be pretty sick. I don't really have any shelves or anything to put these onto, so I'm thinking hanging them on the wall is kind of my best option. Maybe I'll get shelves to put it on. So I have this one, I have the Mustang, and then I also have like a Jeep, I guess it kind of is like. It's an off-road truck. So I need to pull that one actually out of the attic. But there it is. There is the McLaren Formula 1 2022 car. Overall, it was really fun to build. And I spaced it out over a long period of time just because I like to take my time with it. It's kind of relaxing, so it's something that I kind of like to do when I just want to relax. So I try to kind of spread it out to have more fun with it instead of just sitting down and busting it all out in one sitting. I wanted to enjoy it. And I did. I quite enjoyed this building this car. All right, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you later.